Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Parker, Colorado. I'm here with Front Range Lending. Since 2001, this Colorado-based company is helping you select a loan program that will fit your situation best. I am here with the owner, mortgage broker. Alex, thanks for joining us here today. Let's start off a little bit about yourself. Really, you're formally educated, University of Wisconsin. General management, general business out there. You have experience in sales, but yet latter part of 2001, you decided to break out of that. Share with me a little bit how you got involved in this industry.
Sure. So when 9/11 hit is actually when I got in. So I was selling uniform contracts for a uniform company, and I didn't see a future in selling a 5-year contract at that point. So I knew a few friends that had been in the business, and they said, hey, you should come in and check it out. So I did, and I loved it. I fell in love with mortgages, I fell in love with finance, and so that's what the catapult to get me into the business of mortgages was.
That is interesting. I mean, to own your own home, I believe, is still the American dream. Is it safe to say that dream is alive and well here in Colorado, and is Colorado still pretty much sought after to do that?
Yes, absolutely. Right now, more than ever, Colorado, being an interior state, is seeing exterior or coastal city type appreciation, which is something that Denver is pretty unique in that.
In that way, yeah.
In that way, yeah.
You're actually, I mean, very valued as high as you see on the East Coast, West Coast type of situation.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. For most of us, or the majority of us, to attain that dream of owning a home, there's a mortgage involved. Is this really, in 2 decades of seeing this, has the industry changed quite a bit just in what you've seen?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So when I started, it was very easy. The joke was if you could fog a mirror, you could get a mortgage. And that was really kind of what was going on back in the early 2000s. And then the market downturn hit 7, 8, 9, and 10. And when that happened, that's when the industry, the box got smaller to fit into. It was a proper correction. I'm very happy that happened. Since then, things have kind of let back a little bit, not too much. It's a very safe time to get a mortgage now. There's a lot of regulations and regulatory agencies that are making sure that when you do get a mortgage, it's something that you actually can afford.
Very important. So let me ask you this, for a consumer out there, it can be overwhelming, a little scary when they're going through this process. To have a broker, a professional like yourself, do you really become kind of an advocate for this person? Absolutely,
that's very true, and that's one of the things that I like to bring to every single client, whether it's a $100,000 mortgage or $2.1 million mortgage, it doesn't matter. They're all treated equally, and I need to be their advocate between the underwriting department, maybe the sellers if they're buying a home, all the agents that are involved, both buy side and sell side, and ultimately I'm the one that brings the money to the table for them on their behalf. So we need to make sure that we're directing traffic the entire time, high communication throughout, and if I wasn't an active participant in it, there will be problems.
There would be problems, I believe that. I mean, one of the areas that obviously is your expertise is that of refinancing, but before we discuss that, let's talk about the first-time home buyer out there. Are those type of people someone you can help as they try to figure out how this is done?
Certainly. First-time home buyers are something that my assistant and I help quite a bit. Okay. And I have clients that are in their 20s and 30s. Those are your typical first-time home buyers, all the way up to their 60s that are first-time home buyers. So when we help them, we make sure that we treat them, again, consistent and fair throughout the process, and make sure that they know everything, most everything that's going to happen up front before we get going. That's how we try to make sure that everything is as smooth as possible.
I mean, one of the reasons why it's overwhelming, especially for first-time home buyer, is a mortgage has a lot of moving parts. We're talking about fixed rates, variable rates, FICO scores. We're talking about things that most people have never even dealt with most of their life. What are some of the steps or even some of the information that they can get together before they approach a professional like yourself?
Yep, and it's all information that they can get that they should know. If they don't, they'll get up to speed on that, which will be fantastic. So what they have in the bank, right, their down payment, their assets, their income, hopefully they know what that is. And then any type of, if they're going to get a gift, a lot of first-time home buyers get gifts from friends or family, no problem. We just need to know that up front in order to make sure it's a smooth transaction. And if they don't, then what I do is give them a roadmap to get to the yes. So a lot of times you go to a bank and say, I'm sorry, or you'll hear, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Click. With me, I say, I'm sorry I can't help you, but here's how you get to yes.
That's interesting. I mean, I looked at your website and I'm looking at this loan application checklist. I mean, it can look pretty daunting to most people out there. You mentioned it's important communication throughout. Is this something you feel gives people a little bit of peace of mind knowing they know what's going on, because it's not a process that happens overnight?
Most definitely. And when that happens, we try to over communicate. That's what I've learned over the 20 years is I'd rather have somebody say, hey, I don't need all these updates. And I've had that happen, which is to me, it's a compliment, because otherwise, if they're buying their house, right? So there's a lot of stress that goes along with it. And if they're sitting up at night having questions and wondering, well, what ifs, if it's on the mortgage end of things, we try to prevent those types of thoughts from happening, because they're going to be busy worrying about, say, their inspection, which I have nothing to do with. So
probably important also the fact that they're listening to you, your experience, but at the same time you're listening to them, because I imagine every person's different. Their needs are different. I mean, even how we pay off a mortgage is different anymore. It's not like we just pick once a month. Some people are doing every 2 weeks, maybe trying to pay it off quicker by infusing a little bit per quarter. Is that something you really try to do, is suit their needs in such a way that they know this was meant for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are different mortgage terms, so you can have a 10-year term all the way out to 30.
Okay.
So we can cater to that as far as the way that they can afford it on a monthly basis. And then among that 30-year fixed, we'll just say that's the most common type of mortgage and the most common term. Then we'll say, okay, if you make an extra payment of $100 a month, your 30 years will turn into 27 years, or whatever it is. So yeah, we coach them along the way.
I mean, as the home values rise here in Colorado, I mean, obviously some of these mortgages are rather big, jumbo loans. Is this something you're seeing more and more of? I mean, these are not my parents' mortgages that I've seen. Are you able to help people when they require such a substantial mortgage?
Absolutely, yep. And the underwriting is a little bit different. When I say underwriting, that just means the back end of what the banks actually look at in order for them to qualify. So myself and my assistant come at this from an underwriter's perspective from day one. So that helps the flow move a lot smoother than it could. And also, we know all the road bumps, or we try to figure out the road bumps along the way. But yeah, as far as obtaining a jumbo mortgage, we do jumbos just as well as what would be called a conventional or conforming loan.
I think it's important for me to educate people out there. That's one of the reasons I began the company, is to educate people out there, because quite honestly, we get a lot of our education from the media, and not all of it's too great. I mean, we look at these federal rates that maybe are dropping, yet we don't understand that the mortgage rate is something a little bit different. Is this something important to you, to kind of educate people so they understand what it is they're getting into? Absolutely.
It's a very common question. A lot of people think that when the Fed rate goes down, so do the mortgage rates. It's actually tied into the 10-year Treasury most of the time, but the market's so squirrely right now that it's the closest that you can attribute to how mortgage rates go up and down. But really, that's a question I get all the time, and I'm happy to address that with every single client.
For some of the people out there, like first-time home buyers, it's overwhelming. But honestly, even people who have gone through this process before, maybe just 10 years ago, I mean, it's safe to say this is not the same thing maybe that they're used to. Is that something you're able to help people a little bit understand, that Colorado laws change, demands change, and is that something you're always keeping apprised of?
Absolutely. So each year in the state of Colorado, we're required to do continuing education. If you don't do it, you can't maintain your license. So, and then nationally as well. So yeah, I'm always getting my continuing education, attending seminars. Lately it's been more Zoom than in person, but yes, we do those things to make sure that we're on top of any type of new regulation, any new loan programs, changes within existing programs, things like that.
So people out there who have an existing mortgage, they're not looking for a new home, they're not looking to buy, but they want to refinance for whatever reason. Can it be a financial wise decision for people to refinance, and what are some of those benefits?
Yes, and when it's relevant, a refinance is important for somebody to do, or a couple. If it's not, I'm very happy to say no, it's not, and here's why. So again, leading to yes most of the time and then leading to no the other part of the time. I'm not in it to get as many loans as I can. I'm in it to make sure that when I see you in the grocery store or out at the movie theater or whatever it is, I can say hi to you. I don't have to duck and cover. So we're always making sure that the refinance or the purchase is exactly what they wanted and what they should be doing.
Speaking of benefits for refinancing, if someone out there is not even sure if there are benefits or maybe they could benefit, do many of them, I imagine, have some type of goal in mind? Maybe they want to pull out some cash. Maybe they want to pay it off sooner. Are all these part of the process when you sit down, and is a consultation on the front end, is that complimentary?
Absolutely complimentary. We don't charge anything. I don't get paid unless the loan closes. So if we go all the way through the process and for some reason, say the house doesn't appraise or they pull out of a contract because of an issue that was unforeseen in the beginning, we just hit the reset button.
So regardless of the goal, be it to pay off early or maybe pull some cash out, refinance, debt consolidation, you name it, this is all done with the same level of service, attention to detail that really you strive for every day, that is hopefully second to none. And does that give you a lot of pride knowing that that is what you have built a company on for the past 2 decades? Yes,
absolutely. What we do, the way I work my business is I don't advertise. This is actually one of the first things I've ever done for advertising. I do it all by referral. So it's through the real estate agents that I work with, financial planners that I work with, and then ultimately, mainly the clients. So past, present, and future. So being in it for 20 years now, or 20 plus years, I'm actually starting to do loans and mortgages for their kids. And that to me is very fulfilling because I've been with them for a long time and I've been doing right by them the entire time. And because of that, I get to see that on the back end.
Not only a professional broker, but you're definitely that advocate who became their friend and they trust. Obviously, when it comes to residential needs in the mortgage industry, definitely the go-to person here. What about when it comes to commercial needs? Your services even extend outside of Colorado. Tell me a little bit about that.
So yeah, I am able to do introductions for commercial loans, and my network is vast. It's throughout the nation. So for commercial or residential, I'm only licensed in the state of Colorado, but if there's somebody that comes to me that needs something in Florida or Wisconsin or California, I know many people just like myself in those states that can help them get a mortgage, buy or sell a house, all those things.
You've built a company for the past 2 decades, like you said, really without advertising, really without knocking on doors. It really boils down to referrals and people using you again, and you getting out there networking and learning about your community. Does that continue to be rewarding for you, knowing you're serving your neighbors, really?
Absolutely, yes. I'm happy to do people's mortgages that live within my community here, because again, I don't have to duck and cover. And I use that term just because I've, throughout my career, have known some people that weren't necessarily above board or whatever. They're not in the business anymore, but it's always fulfilling to help a family. It's also fulfilling to help a retiring couple. And everybody in between, right?
Somebody brand new out there all the way to retirement. We all need basically looking, like I say, for the American dream, which is owning their own home, refinancing and getting the best deal. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right now, and you're going to see their website. First of all, on the website, you can learn more about this organization that has been around since 2001. Basically, 2 decades of experience here, and they're going to find something that will suit you perfectly well. If you're not sure, come on in, sit down, talk to them. It doesn't cost you a penny to find out if maybe this is a good solution for you. Take a look at their checklist, walk through it, make sure you have all that information with you. It just kind of helps to expedite the process when you do sit down with them and kind of know what your budget is. But once again, this is an organization that began back in 2001. That is Front Range Lending, located right here in Parker, Colorado. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.